Did I start? Oh, I did. Hello and welcome to the Video Game Book Club. I'm Savvy.
I'm Elise.
This month we read Portal 2 Lab Rat, which is the companion comic to Portal 2.
The in between. So it's in between Portal 1 and Portal 2. The script is Ted Kosmatka. I'm hoping that's pronounced correctly. And we have actually three artists. We have the project lead was Michael Avon Oming, and he does art for Marvel. We have Andrea Wickland and Emily Kent is the designer.
So this is a story about a man getting gaslit by a computer.
Welcome to Portal.
Yeah, so this is a comic about Doug Ratman, Rattmann. Although apparently it's spelled differently in a bunch of different things. I was on the wiki and they were like misspellings of Ratman because he's known as Ratman, but his last name's Ratman.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
and
then
he's also psychotic. So
yeah, he has schizophrenia.
And he is not taking his medication.
Yeah, this comic is about him running around the facility during the events of the first Portal game with his companion cube friend, and it has flashbacks to the past when he worked at Aperture Sciences. It takes place at the end of the events of Portal 1 and at the beginning of kind of, not really the beginning of the events of Portal 2, but mainly
before Portal 2.
Just the end of Portal 1.
Because at the end of Portal 1, when you beat GLaDOS,
mm-hmm.
You're like, yay, we did it.
We're outside.
Sudden we're back.
You get dragged back into the facility. Yeah, in this one we learned that he was the reason that Chell, your protagonist, last name redacted, woke up early, leading to the events of the first Portal.
Yes.
Yep.
Almost forgot about that. So it's been a while since we played Portal. Portal came out in, 2007?
I have no idea.
Something like that. And I think Portal 2 came out in 2011.
I'm gonna believe you.
So we played it quite a while ago. It's been a while. It's a puzzle platformer. So for those of you that are not familiar with Portal.
Who isn't, though?
I know.
Everybody has played Portal 2.
It's definitely a reference that I think everyone gets, especially with like the cake is a lie is pretty much everywhere, and everyone kind of knows what that is now. But
now you're thinking with portals.
You are Aperture is a lab, and you are a test subject that you wake up. You've got an orange like jumpsuit, and you have these cool I don't even know how to describe what she's running
boots.
With. Yes,
they're cool boots.
And you
springy
have a
boots.
portal gun, which opens a portal. Like you shoot one wall and then another, and then you can walk in between them.
Bless you,
puppy. And so you're trying. It's a puzzle game. And the second one is 2-player, and you play as there's the two robots.
I think it was the first game that we played together on Saturdays.
Probably.
Yeah, I think it was the first game that we started our tradition of hanging out every Saturday.
Yeah, every Saturday, unless one of us is like out of bless you, puppy.
Oh my goodness, dog.
One of us is like out of state or out of country. We're typically together on Saturdays playing video games.
Yep, that's why we get so many done.
Mm-hmm.
7-hour sessions. All right. I don't really have an order. I just have like the basis of what happened. Do you want to go through the entire thing, or
it's very short? The comic is online. It was
yeah, you can find it.
It was a compilation book, right, with other comics that Valve put out.
That's expensive.
But it's free online. Valve put it online. There's actually a person on YouTube, I think, that reads it, right? As the pictures go.
That's what I watched.
It's on several websites. It's pretty accessible. I think if you are on our Goodreads, I put the link in the description. So
okay.
It's thinkwithportals.com is where you can read it. It's 27 pages total.
The art scared me when I was a kid, I remember. Ratman in general gave me the creeps. It's because when you find his little secret rooms, I think in 2 is when they have the vocal things where he's like, and you had to like translate it, and then it was like some creepy stuff, and I got the creeps. It was that and the Half-Life 2 with the zombies.
Oh, the face?
The zombies speak like backwards, and they're saying like, help me, and I was like, oh, I'm terrified. This is the worst thing I've ever seen.
Half-Life was pretty scary.
Half-Life and Portal 2 gave me the creeps with the Ratman and the zombie guys.
But I also appreciate GLaDOS and even Wheatley in Portal 2, like the sass from these robots.
That's pretty good.
Is excellent.
Can't really beat Valve
and
writing.
all of the lemon things that
classic. Yeah, and this comics art is very sketchy.
It's very different. I mean, that it makes sense
It
that there's multiple people because the style is different as it goes. Because
but
you
they
have,
always make Chell when you see her in this comic very soft
yes,
and nice looking, very Mother Teresa, Mary from the Bible.
and then there's the one
Beautiful,
on page 3 is
majestic.
another stylized. So she's got like a. It almost reminds me of the Pistorius, the running guy that the Blade Runner, the guy that he was a professional runner and then he killed his girlfriend. Cause,
What?
yeah, he was missing his bottom legs and so he had the special running shoes.
Oh, I think I have heard about that.
Yeah, he's in jail.
Okay. So, yeah, we said that Doug Ratman over here was the reason Chell woke up early, leading to the events of Portal. But it's funny that his reason was just a hunch. They bring it up in the comic,
Mm-hmm.
right, where he's like,
Well, in the game, he's like a reference. Like if you
these
find
secret
certain things,
rooms.
yeah, he is an Easter egg himself. And I always get it confused with Mirror's Edge because there's also that other. I don't know if it's like an homage to
It's
Portal or if
it's
it
like
was
a
like the same
another
artist.
runner, right? Well, it's just writing on the walls and writing
Yeah,
inside
yeah,
of
you get to see the little like
vents
picture stuff. So I
and
always get them
stuff.
mixed up on which one
Who was the
is
guy in
what
Mirror's
thing.
Edge? Do
There
you
was.
remember him? Like, what's his name? Was it like a guy?
So what do these pictures mean? By a janitor.
Oh,
He's communicating to a runner that they're being watched day and night by someone.
wait.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah,
these
yeah,
weird
yeah.
like photographs with an eyeball in the city, and it looks up. So it looks like a kid drew it, but apparently it was a janitor. All
So
right,
yeah,
so
the reason why Doug over here picked Chell was just a hunch because I think the companion cube talks to him during the entire
they don't
comic.
tell you till the end. He's like, there's something about her, and then at the very end, there's a picture with a chart that tells you why she's important because it's in
Hmm.
her file.
Because she's not the smartest and she's not the most athletic. I thought he just was like, just felt like it.
But it's the chart at the end. She's stubborn.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah,
Tenacity? It's
tenacity.
just the
So at the very end,
tenacity.
there's this bell curve, and it just says tenacity. Product. Proctor's notes: Test subject is abnormally stubborn. She will never give up ever. Rejected. Do not test.
Oh, do not test. That's probably why he read it. And he was like, perfect to
This
test.
one. All right. So are you ready to? Do you want
Are
to
we
jump
going from
in?
the beginning? Because I okay, just keep going from the front.
Okay, so we see Ratman is like doing all his graffiti stuff. He's in Aperture. He's the only one there. He's a little disheveled looking. And Chell is the big thing is it starts off with reality is a story, the mind tells itself. Getting a little philosophical on
I
you.
like that. I quoted it in my
Mm-hmm.
notes.
An artificial structure conjured into the being by the calcium iron exchange of a million synaptic fringes. Firings, I can read. The truth so strange it can only be lied into existence. Um, and our minds can lie. Never doubt it.
I know.
Quit lying to yourself. So what's this? Real or just my lying mind again?
Here's a poor. We're just gonna read it to you.
I'm not reading the whole thing, but just the first couple of pages because that's like that's the intro where he's
What?
like, is this the real life? Is it just fantasy?"
Well, he has schizophrenia, so
Yes.
like that's a little bit harder for him to figure out.
Can she truly be awake? And so she's awake and she's like running through.
This is you playing as Chell doing this stuff in Portal One.
And he is watching you, and he's got a companion cube on his back, which
Sounds heavy.
for some of it looked like it was a backpack, and then some of it looked like it was just like floating behind him.
Just attached. That sounds super heavy to have
Yeah.
like a big ass cube.
Well, especially when you find out what's in the companion cube
Do
later
you
on in the game.
know that it's people?
That's revealed in the game.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Are you positive?
I am pretty positive, but I will double check.
I
'Cause
think
let's check our sources.
I thought that was just like a theory that people had, and then people just were like, "Yeah, that's true."
In Portal 2, GLaDOS, and this is from the Portal Wiki, so nah. GLaDOS briefly torments Chell by repeatedly destroying companion cubes in Test Chamber 7. It is at this point that GLaDOS claims the cubes are in fact sentient.
Okay, so this is GLaDOS telling you that. Are you really gonna trust that gaslight gatekeepy girl boss?
This one from Reddit again. The
Oh,
companion cubes aren't stuffed with the bodies of the past test subject. However, they can carry copies of GLaDOS.
okay. See, we don't know.
But
We
it's
don't.
Reddit. It's
We
Reddit.
have no
So
idea. Basically,
it's been a
could be
long time
true,
since we played this
could
game.
be a
She
lie.
does
She says it, but do you really believe GLaDOS?
that she would put people in cubes.
I
Absolutely.
don't believe that she'd tell you that. I don't believe she'd tell you the truth. I think she's freaking manipulating you the whole time. She's like, look, here's dead bodies in a cube. Haha. Aren't you sad? Like, it's probably not even real.
But then also, they gotta hide all their test subjects because what are they doing with them?
They're decaying. And who's doing that? The two robots with the arms?
Oh no, I hope not. I like them.
Like, who's putting them in the cubes?
I don't know. That's true. It's like turrets and stuff. So
They're just orbs.
yeah.
The one
But then
that
there's no one else around. It's kind of creepy, and everything else is like sterile but a little broken.
they're the ones that dragged Chell back in, which are the two orb robots that have the arms, not the Peabody and
Yeah.
Atlas. I think were the two from the multiplayer
Yeah.
game. Although maybe, maybe.
Could be.
Anyway, people say that's fact. It's not. It's a theory.
It's on Wiki, so.
Oh, then it must be true. Nobody edits those.
No.
No big fan edits those with their own stuff. Don't believe everything you read. Don't believe anything you read. Don't believe it at all.
Especially on the internet.
And only half of what you see. Where are we at?
Okay, so Ratman is going into the employees only, and he's gonna get a jar for the end times, and that's when the cube is starting to talk to him. Don't do it. Don't take your medication.
I'll leave you.
And then we get a flashback to who Ratman used to be, and then he takes the drugs, so it takes a long time for it to be
Effective. Yep.
Do you like the fact that it's all about Ratman, or would you want more Chell in it?
I'm cool with it being about Ratman. I mean, you saw those things in the game. You're probably like, what's the deal with this
What's the deal
guy?
with Ratman?
He gives me the creeps.
I in my review, I said that if you have never played Portal, this is gonna confuse you.
Well, why would you read this if you've never played Portal? Why
know.
would you look at Portal 2 Ratman on the internet because you can't get a physical copy? Why would you buy the Valve comic book if you were like, I never played any of these games, but it's bright orange and it looks cool. Like,
Because
no, it
it could be so sometimes we talk about these as like an introduction, right? Sometimes people are like, oh, I can't play the games, or I don't want to put in the time to play the games. Let me read the story.
I don't want to put in the time. This has zero value to me in my time. But I want to take my time to read this.
Well, I mean, especially when it's animated, like or when it's on YouTube, you can watch it for like, it was like 14 minutes long.
Weird. So we're probably going to get around to this when we talk about the short films, right?
Yeah.
On the AV Club. But in the reviews for those, there were people being like, I've never played this game in my life, and I just decided to watch this short film.
It happens. People do it.
Why?
Because the algorithm, it pops up, and they're like, oh, this looks interesting.
And then your butt had the audacity to be like, I don't get it. It's super weird. Like, go away. This wasn't for you.
You definitely need to have played Portal. Even knowing what it is, you're not going to understand it. So this is for sure for the Portal players, because they make references to other things, and they don't really explain. Again, it's super short. I think it was like 2 comics, because there was a to be continued. So I definitely feel. And I was also missing Wheatley. I wanted a little bit more Wheatley or GLaDOS.
What? But this is about the in-between, so Wheatley wouldn't even be around.
He's the one that brings her in, isn't it? Or no? That's not Wheatley?
I think he's the one who wakes her up in 2, but we don't get to 2 in this comic. Yeah. So it's interesting to know about Ratman. I like the comic where it's about the weird side character. We should have a comic about the janitor. Do you think they have that? From Mirror's Edge?
No, there is a
their book
in between, but I don't think the janitor's in it. But it is interesting to see stories through another character, because you only see Chell in certain parts in this comic, and it's totally through
it's like
Ratman's
the
perspective.
It's like the DLCs for Half-Life, where you play as the security guard and someone else. I think you play as one of the bad guys and you can see Gordon Freeman running around, right, doing stuff when you were playing the first game. And I think that's really cool. Because you're like, hey, look, there goes me. And then you gotta go shoot yourself. It's fun.
Yeah.
Then you know how that's gonna end though. So I like that. They don't do that enough.
Yeah, I mean, you can get the same type of.
What was this character up to? I wonder.
So Ratman took his medication. He painted a picture of Chell while he's waiting for it to kick in, I guess.
I guess.
On our way into the final chamber, so he knows that Chell's doing stuff, and our companion says she doesn't have a chance. And then boom!
She does. She does it, and he goes to see it.
And we see her application, and so there's some really cool stuff in the comics. Like, if you're not just reading the dialogue, you got to look because they actually put some writing in the papers in the back, so it's good to kind of. So I'm going to read it to you in case you did not see it. But I'd be curious also to know what the bottom of it has a bunch of code like 0101. I wonder if that actually translates to something.
It probably does.
But I'm not going to take the time to do that for you. I apologize. You can do that on your own time. But we see the application, and it's got Chell's photograph on it. It says essay question 1A. What should aperture scientists accept? Why should oh my goodness. Dang. Why should I had to be like extra caffeine? We're drinking these Sonic
G Fuel,
and I cannot function now. Why should Aperture Science accept you as a research volunteer? And would anyone file a police report if you went missing? HR note, subject refused to answer. What was that? The room shook itself to pieces, and then everything blowed up. She defeated GLaDOS.
You beat the first game.
And then we go back in time.
Oh, yeah.
Where, of course, what could possibly go wrong by giving sentient?
Yeah, so Ratman, young Ratman is talking to another scientist, and he's like, it takes the robot, GLaDOS, like milliseconds to threaten us and want to kill us. And he's like, yeah, but like this is the big scientific thing we're gonna have in our generation.
Yeah, people already went to the moon, and
having an evil killer robot is our thing.
Yeah, and a picosecond, which is an actual thing, I looked up because I didn't know what that was. It's 1,000th of a second.
Oh, it's fun facts.
Mm-hmm. Learn a new vocabulary, kids.
Yeah, Ratman's like, this is dumb.
He's like, I'd rather have gone to the moon.
Yeah, this is bad.
And then he leaves and he goes outside, and
he sees
there's the sun. She lost her fancy footwear. Yeah, she's being dragged by.
Yeah, they got the hands. See, that's what I was saying.
Mm-hmm. Round robot with hands. It's dragging her back inside.
And then we go back to another flashback.
Yeah. Hey, Doug, can I get a hand here? Sure. Just reach inside of that same robot. By the way, which one is your dominant hand? Make sure that you use the other one.
Yeah, okay.
If someone asks you to reach your hand into a robot, you say no. Especially if they're like, may please use your non-dominant hand.
Oh, yeah, okay. So they're talking about the little tiny orbs that you put onto GLaDOS, which is supposed to be her conscience, and they all have their own, like, fun, quirky personalities, and that's how you beat her in all these games, is you give her too many consciences. I think you just overload her brain with nonsense and stuff, but they're supposed to be her consciences, and that's how you beat the final boss. And then Ratman says the classic line, you can always ignore your conscience. Yes! I wasn't sure.
I like, so at this point, so he's outside because he just said, like, you can always ignore your conscience. And so the companion cube is clearly his conscience. And it says, you don't have to go back in there. I can't just walk away. You're right. Walking is too slow. Run away.
Yeah. So he's going to ignore his conscience and go back into save Chell.
And this is where it's the to be continued. And this is then the second part of the comic. So
he's running back inside.
And the pills are finally starting to take effect, so he's going to lose his companion cube. And
he notices that she's placed in a relaxation chamber, but her chamber is offline.
All life support is offline.
In fact, like, all the other chambers are pretty much offline. And so he's going to unplug all other chambers and put all of the cryo supply into her chamber.
I need to set up the cryo control, but turrets block the way. Her cryo chamber, something's wrong. Life support has been compromised. The explosion blew the main grid. Her chamber is offline. All of the chambers are offline. And then you get this, like, close up.
Sexy.
We see, like, very different art styles in here. There's like the companion cube's on his back, and his hand is covering his face, and then it narrows into his eyes. A very very different art style. And then he's got to climb up, and then he's got to go through the room full of turrets, and he's like, should I go right or left? Always go
Left.
left.
Also, his conscience isn't responding to him because he took his pill. So he's just kind of goes for it.
And then he gets shot in the leg.
Shot. But I mean, even then, he still manages to crawl and succeed in his task.
Must stay conscious. Then we get another back.
Oh, this is about them being like, or GLaDOS saying, I don't have murderous intent anymore. Can I have a little bit of neurotoxin though for science? I care about science a lot.
Because there is the concept of Schrodinger's cat, which they don't call it out, but they describe it, where Schrodinger says if you have a cat in a box and you don't open the box, the cat is both alive and dead until you know. That's
until you know? Okay. Yeah.
So it's the paradox of Schrodinger's cat.
Is it like out of sight, out of mind?
It could be it could be either. You don't know for sure, so there's both possibilities until you open that box. And
so what is giving the GLaDOS neurotoxin?
GLaDOS is asking for cats. And neurotoxin because she hunts for science, and they're like, for science, sure,
absolutely. And Ratman is like, this is a really bad idea.
It's actually this thing is great, and like when I was reading it, I was like hearing it as GLaDOS's voice too. Do you know what doesn't rhyme with compliance?
What, GLaDOS?
Neurotoxin.
Oh my god, no!
And then GLaDOS is talking to him, and she's like, if you continue to selfishly evade me, it's not going to reflect well in your file.
Yeah, because Ratman manages to escape.
Because he's different, because he's schizophrenic. I can't see you, but I know you're in there.
And this is the scene where he takes out Chell's file and puts her in the first to be awoken databanks that we talked about before.
And this is where, do you know the thought experiment with the cat in the box with the poison theory requires the cat to be both alive and dead until observed. That's Schrodinger's cat. Okay. And then he's looking through the file, and then we see that Chell's last name is redacted, and she is participant 1498. So there's been 1,497 people before her, and there are people after her. And so he saves the file, and this is all memory. And then it flashes back to he's still on the ground, reaching out, and then we go back to the morality core that they put in GLaDOS. I find myself drawn to the study of consciousness. There is an experiment I'd like to perform during Bring Your Cat to Work Day. This is the neurotoxin thing again.
I definitely thought, because they had the Bring Your Daughter to Work Day thing, remember? That was in, and that's when you can see Chell's name on one of the, like, science things.
Do you think that she is his daughter?
Some people would either say, I don't think it's his daughter. Some people say that the Cave Johnson's daughter.
I don't think it would. I don't know.
Some people say that. The theory, just like the bodies in the cube. I don't know.
And then we go back to present time, and the cube starts talking to him again. You're back. I never left you. But then the cube is also asking a bunch of questions about why he knew that Chell was the one. She that she was the one. So it was something in her file that she had the highest IQ. No, somewhere higher. That she was the fastest. No, nothing like that. What then? And so he's going to try to save her. He's at the computer, and he's able to give her the long sleep or the long sleep.
So he gives her the long sleep. He cryo freezes her for who knows how long. And then he himself goes into a cryogenic stasis bed and falls asleep there. And I looked at, I was like, how long in between the events of Portal 1 does Portal 2 take place? And according to the wiki, it's like 50 to like 50,000 years in the future. Dang. It could have been really long. Nobody really knows how long it took.
But that's like when you leave right at the end, it's like you don't know what's out there because it's been so long.
Yeah. So, and then when you wake up in Portal 2, you can actually go to the stasis chamber that Ratman was in, and he's not there. So, fate unknown. He's probably dead though. Like, that's what I'm assuming. Yeah. It's been a lot of years. He's probably dead.
So that's the very last page of it is you see Chell's file, and it's that she has tenacity. That girl's got
determination.
Determination.
All right, and that was Portal 2 Lab Rat. That's the whole thing.
That's the whole thing. It's very, very short. Again,
You don't really need it to play 2, but you know.
no, it's a nice little like in between. It's like they trying to remember which one it was. There's some anime and stuff in between 2 games, and there was the what I'm really thinking of is not even a game. I'm thinking of the anime that was between Pitch Black and Riddick.
Oh,
But
there's a game that was between the Riddick ones too.
yeah,
That was the Butcher Bay.
I think the reason why I'm thinking they're doing another Riddick movie. So
They are?
yeah. So you know what else they're doing? They're doing another Resident Evil movie. This is
Oh
totally
my
off topic,
God.
but I just read about it today, and it's going to be about Leon, and they're doing another.
Of course, they're doing about Leon. The new 4's coming
the
out.
new 4 is coming out, so they're going to do another live action, and they're going to do anime. Is what I just read today. So we're pausing on our Resident Evil AV stuff, so we won't be watching it anytime soon.
But our next book is going to be Star Wars Jedi Battle Scars by Sam Maggs, and it is the in-betweener, so it fits.
Yep.
The in-betweener between Fallen Order and whatever the new one is called. I forgot.
It's not the same as the game.
No. It's Star Wars Jedi are cool.
Cal, what's his name?
Cal Kestis.
It's not Star Wars Hunters.
No, it's Star Wars Jedi. Just do Fallen Order 2 and see what pops up.
Survivor?
Yes.
Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
So between Fallen Order and Survivor, there is Battle Scars, which is a novel that comes out in a couple of days.
Yeah, March 7th is the official date. So for
and
March, we will be reading.
I know that Survivor got pushed,
Yes.
right? Delayed.
Mhm.
So you have plenty
They
of
were
time.
supposed to come out like at the same time, weren't they?
Yeah, it's supposed to come out in March at least. But oh well.
Fingers crossed.
See you later.